I've never liked mass transportation. I grew up riding a bus, and although there was a lot of decent people on the bus, it was just a lot of jerks, a lot of punks on the bus. Anybody can get on a bus. Anybody can. And usually, quite often, you're people you don't want to be stuck on a bus with. So I saw a lot of elderly people, which is cool. A lot of people with mental illnesses. You had developmentally disabled, challenged individuals. You had a lot of working class individuals. You had people who were trying to get to work, really trying to provide for their families. But then, you also had a lot of young punks. You got the teenagers, of course, usually black, who start a lot of trouble, talk a lot of crap, and get really aggressive. You had older individuals who were intoxicated. You had certain individuals with some severe mental illnesses who sometimes would be aggressive. Not everybody who was mentally ill or had mental health issues were aggressive and violent, but that's just the environment. When you're on a lot of these buses, I rode the bus in Flint, Michigan throughout my childhood. So maybe my experience is different than people in New York who get on the subway with people of all walks of life. But I was reading about this situation where this woman, this Ukrainian woman, she was stabbed to death on a light rail train. Apparently, you see the video of this black male in a red hoodie getting on the subway. He sat down. He didn't look overtly suspicious, but she got on that train. She sat down. She had her earphones in or whatever. She was listening. She was just doing her thing. She sat in front of him, and he pulled out a pocket knife and he stabbed her. He stabbed her. Seconds later, he walked away. She eventually died. And stuff like, you take a risk every time you go outside your house. But the thing is, with mass transportation, is that too often you find yourself in situations with individuals who are very aggressive, violent, just individuals. Sometimes you just find yourself oftentimes with individuals who start a lot of mess. And because you're on a bus or on a train or whatever, you can't just walk away. That's not a good situation to be in. That's why I don't like mass transportation. I don't. I think if we had a different type of society where we had more two-parent homes and people were raising their kids with some values, some morals or whatever. We had people who really cared. Then it might be doable, especially in a lot of cities. But I mean, it exists no matter what. It's not something I'm interested in. I was raised by a single mother, and she definitely made sure there was some discipline in place. She definitely corrected me, and too many of these kids are just not being corrected, and they get in these settings, and you just can't, on a public transportation, you just can't get away from them. So that makes it really dangerous. So I'm not saying this is that type of situation. This guy, I don't know what was going on in his head, but what he did was unacceptable. It was disgusting, and needs to be held accountable. I hope he gets the maximum, whatever that penalty may be in that particular state. This was actually in North Carolina, in Charlotte. So if you're in the area, if you're a person who uses mass transportation, you guys share your thoughts on that. I just can't do mass transportation. Although I will say this, when I was in Washington, D.C., I got on their metro, or whatever the heck it was called. It was so clean and nice. I didn't have any problems. That was actually wonderful. So I know mass transportation in different cities can actually be a good thing, but I'm just explaining my experience with it and my bias. So it can be nice. A lot of times they have policies where you can't carry a gun on certain mass transportation platforms, especially I think in Atlanta. I don't know. That's for me. I don't want to be stuck in a train or a bus, not being able to legally carry a gun or whatever, and being in a situation where somebody could get really aggressive, and my options are sort of limited. I can't leave, and you're gonna try to strip me of the tools I need. That's not great. That's not something I'm really interested in. But anyway, so I have had some good experiences with mass transportation. What are your thoughts on mass transportation? One thing I will keep in mind is that if I'm in most scenarios, I'll try to stand up. I didn't stand up in DC, but I would stand up. I think I did actually. try to stand up. And I know I like to play, a lot of you guys like to play around on your phones. I do too, but that's the time to be aware, alert of what's going on. So put the phone away, or just keep your eyes rolling. Whenever a man walks around me or behind me, or whatever, I'm definitely watching them. You know, I don't like having men walk behind me or all that stuff. I'm definitely aware. You know, certain individuals, you should definitely be on a high alert, or just be aware, I should say. Try to avoid sitting down in a situation where there's people behind you. When you have your back turned to people, you don't know them, and it's not always practical, but it's just something to think about. Just definitely be aware of who's behind you. Just open your eyes and ask. So that's just some things to keep in mind. So maybe you want to stand up. Those are some things you can do. Try to be a little closer to the exit. Something to think about. All right, guys, share your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today.